Hi there, my name is Katie Powers.
I'm Johnny Price.
And you're listening to Adventure Capital, a podcast by Wefunder.
Wefunder is a startup based here in San Francisco that enables other startups to raise capital through equity crowdfunding. Until a few years ago, the only people that could invest in early stage startups were millionaires and billionaires or accredited investors. But with the passage of the Jobs Act, which our founders helped to get through Congress, now anyone can invest in a startup that you love for as little as $100 through Wefunder.
We're a public benefit corporation and a B Corp, which you can read in our charter, where we outline our aim to increase economic growth and lower wealth disparity by sharing the rewards of capitalism more broadly. Johnny and I lead the fundraising team at Wefunder, so in our day-to-day work, we have the great privilege of connecting with founders who could benefit from raising capital on Wefunder. Through this podcast, we hope to share some of their stories and experiences with founders on their own entrepreneurial journeys.
In this first episode, we speak with Klaus Moeller, the CEO of Boardwalk, which is a Ben & Jerry's franchise on Venice Beach, and Surf Dog, the hot dog joint next door. In the fall of 2017, Klaus raised $500,000 from 526 investors on Wefunder for Boardwalk, and earlier this year, he ran another Wefunder campaign for Surf Dog, raising $215,000 from 161 investors. Klaus is an incredibly energetic serial entrepreneur and really leans into the community aspects of raising capital on Wefunder, which is really what equity crowdfunding is all about. We really enjoyed our conversation with Klaus, so without further ado, let the adventures begin. Klaus, maybe you could start by introducing yourself and tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey.
Absolutely. I was born in Germany, grew up in Portugal and England, and my family was in the real estate business there. I came over to the US 30 years ago, and since then have started, probably 10 companies or so. Two of them are now one is on the NASDAQ, one is about to go on the NASDAQ. And we run quite a few different companies here. In the past, these were always funded by bigger equity raises, institutional money. And a few years ago, I met Dylan from Wefunder and decided to go ahead, try a crowdfunding raise. And it's been nothing but perfect for us.
Awesome. And maybe tell us, because you've now done two campaigns on Wefunder, potentially with a third about to go live. But you ran a campaign for Ben & Jerry's and then for Surf Dog. Can you tell us a little bit about those two businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Boardwalk Hospitality raise, we have a long-term lease on a 2,000 square foot space on the Venice Boardwalk, which is the number one visited beach in the world with about 15 million annual visitors. And we managed to obtain a Ben & Jerry's ice cream franchise for that area and funded the whole build out of the property, the entire thing through an initial Wefunder raise of $500,000, which attracted, I think, 520 or so investors. A year later, we saw the need to do a great hot dog place on the boardwalk and decided to do another raise on Wefunder for a company called Surf Dog. We're negotiating with Nason's right now, hoping to secure the Nason's franchise for the boardwalk. And again, launched a great campaign, highly successful, and a lot of our initial Ben & Jerry's investors came over and also helped us raise money in the Surf Dog raise.
So advice from you to anyone looking at opening a retail establishment, it's worth paying the money to get in the prime real estate, even though the rent goes through the roof, it pays for itself.
Absolutely. I think it is very, very risky to do real estate in any area where you don't have a lot of foot traffic, where you then have to spend marketing dollars getting people to your store and turning it into a destination. And we've done that in the past too. We've owned galleries in locations that didn't have a high foot traffic, and it's very, very risky. So the number one advice is, pay top dollar rent for foot traffic.
Got it. And so when you got the space, how long was it until you figured out the Ben & Jerry's franchise?
Super fast. We looked for a product. There wasn't any like major ice cream store on the boardwalk. There's a small a couple of small ice cream places there. But we also were looking for a food product that was fun, that was not too expensive, and something that is easy to operate. So if we owned restaurants before. My family owned 8 restaurants, and the food business is really tough. You have to, make sure you have enough inventory, and inventory goes off pretty fast. But, ice cream you stick in a super deep freezer. It has an 18 months shelf life. So you never have any food product that you need to check out. It's a real easy concept. It's a fun concept for the boardwalk. So it just fitted really well. So my partner and I flew up to Vermont, met with Ben & Jerry's, and they agreed to give us the franchise for the boardwalk here.
So when you met Dylan, was that after you had the Ben & Jerry's franchise? Did you decide Wefunder after you picked out this ice cream business, or what was the order there, and why did you decide on Wefunder?
Yeah, so it was after we got the franchise, but before we opened the store. And we kind of sat here, and, it was the past companies we did, the funding rounds were like way larger. Like I think Baby Genius, our last funding round was $7 million. So, that always was institutional money. For the Ben & Jerry's, we were looking to raise $500,000 or so. So that was too small for institutional money. And we went to our local bank, Wells Fargo, and they told us that they, on principle, do not finance any food businesses that haven't been around for at least 2 years. That the restaurant business in general is so risky, and very few restaurants survive the first 2 years. So that despite the fact that we were on the boardwalk with this giant food traffic and a pretty easy business model, they just had in the bank, they would not finance any food and beverage business that hasn't been operational for 2 years, which, makes total sense. So my business partner, Mike, and I were going to just self-fund it and, use profits that we'd made from selling shares in previous companies. And I read about crowdfunding, and don't ask me where, I can't remember that, but contacted Wefunder, spoke with Dylan, and just thought, what, let's give it a try. There's really no risk for me because we were going to self-fund it anyway. So if it didn't work out or partially work out, then we had the funds available to short fund it ourselves. Did a campaign, and it worked really, really well. It was super, super fun. It was just, I don't even know what to tell you. It was fantastic.
The bank said no, Klaus, but the people said yes, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
What terms were you offering to investors on the campaign? What was the investment that they were making in the Ben & Jerry's? Yeah,
so first when we looked at it, we were going to sell equity in the company, but when we did some of our initial financials, because we really believe it's a very profitable business, we decided to do a 3-year loan at a high interest rate. So we offered, I think, 14% interest on a 3-year note.
Got it. And then you started to talk about this, but how did you run the campaign? You said it was fun. I think you were live for a few months. You raised $500,000 from 526 people in a few months. But to get tactical, what did you do to recruit those 526 investors?
Well, I would love to say that most of it came from me and existing people that I know, but 90% of that came from the kind of Wefunder family of existing investors, which really surprised me. So it took a little time in the beginning to start the campaign. So the first week or 2 weeks were pretty slow, but then we really started getting momentum into the campaign. And we had put a little budget aside for advertising. We were going to do targeted advertising on Facebook and social media, but ended up never needing to do that. So it really took a life of its own. And, what we do is we really stay in touch with investors. We treat them, as very, very important. My dad used to, because I'm an ideas guy, and my dad used to always tell me, for every guy like you with 100 great ideas, there's one person that'll fund your crazy idea. Mm-hmm. So we take people that invest in the company, whether they invest, $100 or $100,000, really, really seriously. And we stay in touch with them, and we do weekly updates for everybody, even if sometimes it's just a fun photo or an event that happened. So we try to really get them to feel that it's their business, which it is. Of course, they're your partners, and in theory, they're making this whole thing possible for you, and they're employing you, et cetera, et cetera.
And so, I mean, this is maybe an obvious question, but why do you provide? Because of all the founders that I've seen on Wefunder, the hundreds of founders we've worked with, I would say you're maybe the gold standard for the amount that you update your investors and keep them in the loop. But obvious question, but why do you spend so much time and effort doing that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think it's out of respect and that you actually owe it to these people. So if you're a small investor and you have, let's say, $1,000 or $5,000 to invest, there's a million things you can do. You can play it safe and buy treasury bonds. You can, buy whatever, Apple stock on the stock market. You can, if you're super scared of what's going to happen, you can buy gold coins. There's like 100 different or 1,000 different things you can do. So for that investor to look at every single thing that is out there and then decide to give us their money, that's a really big thing for me. That's just like when I invest in someone else's business. I want them to really, thank me for doing that, because I could have invested in 100 other things. So I think it's just common courtesy that you keep these investors informed, because it's their investment, not your investment. You're using other people's dollars to make your dreams come true. On the other hand, from the business side, it also works fantastic for the business side, because if these investors are happy, chances that they will reinvest in your next deal, which a lot of them then did with our SurfDog project, and they will tell their friends and family. And I think we got a lot of momentum going by treating our first 100 investors really well and updating them and thanking them and sending them a little note saying, hey, by the way, if you have anyone in your family or any friends that might be interested, please send them the link. And so, it's very worthwhile for you as an entrepreneur to do.
Yeah, Klaus, I think both of us and everybody at Wefunder have been really impressed with this community that you've been able to create through multiple raises. But I'm curious how you first got the first 10% of your investors. What was the messaging that you used? How did you get them to actually make those initial investments?
I mean, the very first investors, we got some friends of ours that we know that always want. I mean, there's a lot of people that love investing with us, and we've had investors that have worked with us for over 20 years now in various deals. So,
and to be super specific and tactical, Klaus, did you call them up? Did you arrange to meet them in person? Are you emailing them? Like, how are you getting them in?
In reality, what you probably should do is meet them or call them up. I didn't do that. I emailed everybody because, I just don't physically have the time to sit on the phone and then end up chatting for half an hour. So I send an email out with the link. I actually sent an email out to a lot of my past investors and friends before we even had the link, just telling them, hey, we're doing a super fun project. It's a Ben & Jerry's franchise on the Venice Boardwalk. And you will do me a huge favor if you just put a few dollars into that. We're going to send you the link in the next week or two. So we didn't wait till the link was there. And then what I normally do is, if someone doesn't answer me, if someone doesn't get back to me, I'll send them an email in 2 days and say, hey, just wanted to make sure you got this email. It might have landed in your junk mail folder. Please do me a favor, throw in $500 or $1,000 when this goes live. And, these are people for whom that is not a substantial amount of money. And then as soon as the link went live, we sent the link to everybody. We posted it on all our Facebook pages as well, asking people, to throw in a little bit of money. I mean, in reality, I think any company that does crowdfunding, it would be really smart to have 20% or whatever it is of the funds you're looking for lined up, so that when the thing goes live, it immediately looks as a success. The worst thing is if it comes out there and it says, funded $100 of 500,000 target. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I would strongly suggest to anyone doing this to have, at least 20% or so of the money you're trying to raise lined up. And have people invest in the first day or two, so the campaign really looks successful. And we are working on another campaign with you guys right now, and definitely have that lined up for that.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. I think we try and share that with a lot of our founders for sure. How would you compare this experience on Wefunder with these last couple businesses, Boardwalk, SurfDog, and this next one, compared to the money that you've raised in the past for your other businesses for more conventional investors?
Yeah, so I mean, when we, in the past, it was institutional money with an exit strategy, hopefully taking the company public, and once the company is public, and if the stock kind of whatever, if there's good PR or IR and the stock goes up, they'll sell out and they're gone. So they're not like long-term investors who really want to support it. I think what we've seen here is that a lot of these investors are doing this investment less so for making a quick buck. Because if you're investing $500 in a project, and let's say your return is 10% per annum, that's $12 a quarter. It's really nothing. It's just about it's not meaningless, but it's not like a huge investment. So I think a lot of these investors just have fun being part of something and seeing something grow and seeing something work out. And we see that. I mean, I just today got an email with like 20 or 30 more comments on our SurfDog, where people, where we posted a picture of a T-shirt, and people are like emailing, I'm a large, I'm a medium, can I get two? People are really involved with the projects. They're having fun. This is where I think someone invests in like 10 projects that they think are exciting, whether it's, a beer company or an ice cream company or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they're having real fun being part of it. And, it's great. I mean, I get probably 20, 30 emails a day from investors of ours, just checking in, or, hey, my mother is in California and she's going to come by your store, so we'll make sure then that one of the managers or assistant manager styles them with free ice cream and stuff. I mean, I think these investors really are having fun.
Well, I love that. And so personally, I am now an investor in Chattanooga FC, which just concluded its Wefunder raise. Soccer team in Chattanooga that's owned by the people. They want to be like the Green Bay Packers of soccer in America.
Yeah, I'm following that.
Yeah, and I'm personally invested in them for $125. And as you said, it's not about the financial return. Hopefully they do very well and I make money over the years. But really, it's just, I have pride now that I'm a part owner in this soccer team in Tennessee where my wife's from. So yeah, it's really about the kind of social aspects, the community aspects, the fun of it, as you say, as well as the financial returns.
And I'm invested in a bunch of crowdfunding campaigns too. Like I invested in YOLO Rum as an example, and I'm not like concerned what is going to be my monthly or quarterly or annual return. I love what they're doing. I love following them. I love actually seeing where someone starts with a concept and really works hard to try and turn it into a big success story. And if it works out, fantastic. And you know what? If it doesn't work out, I really don't care. If I've put in a few $100s to help someone try and do something, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. One thing I just wanted to touch on. So you mentioned SurfDog just there. You obviously started on Wefunder with the campaign for the Ben & Jerry's back in 2017. Can you talk a little bit about then the transition to open up SurfDog?
Yeah, so what we noticed on the boardwalk is that the business tapers off towards the evening. Once it gets dark, the boardwalk kind of shuts down. So we were looking at what food product is missing on the boardwalk. And again, it's the boardwalk, so everything kind of works, whether you do pizzas or hot dogs or hamburgers, quality fast food for families is always going to work there. So we decided that hot dogs is probably the easiest of those because most of those are pre-cooked. So, again, you don't have a lot of waste in food products. And we're talking with Nathan's right now. We're close to hopefully finalizing that deal in the next week or so to get the Nathan's franchise. And, Nathan's is the original Coney Island boardwalk dog, and they're not they're not available here on any of the boardwalks on the West Coast. So I think we're already selling Nathan's hot dogs, but I think we're going to end up being the lead franchisee here for the boardwalk, and also have some. They're currently building some amazing. They look like Thai little tuk-tuk taxis that are electric that we could then take and take them to whatever local art fairs and art walks and school soccer and football games. So we decided to do Surf Dog. We did a campaign on Wefunder, and this is where it really pays you to have stayed in touch with all your people at Ben & Jerry's, because most of the Surf Dog investors were people that had invested in Ben & Jerry's and just came across to do the next deal with us.
That's awesome. Do you have any cool stories from your Ben & Jerry's investors, and maybe they come into the store, or they have any real passion about what you guys are doing with Ben & Jerry's and Surf Dog?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear some of those interactions that you have.
No, first of all, there is lots. We have investors that it is hysterical. We have an investor here from Long Beach, which is about an hour away, and I'd love to mention his name. I'm sure he doesn't even mind. But when we have free cone day once a year, Ben & Jerry's has a free cone day where all ice cream is free. And this year, I think we gave out close to 7,000 free ice creams. And him and his wife come to free cone day and help and just work. They love it so much that they sit there, they scoop ice cream, they're outside telling people to come in, and they come for that second year now in a row, and just absolutely love it. And we've actually, over these last 2 years, have become friends with them. And in fact, this week I'm having dinner, me and my wife having dinner with him and his wife. So that's been fun. On the financial side, we've had one investor who invested in Surf Dog with us, and it turns out that he is one of the main guys in the company that owns PF Chang and GI Fridays, etc. And they are working on concepts now, because the on-demand business, the Uber and the Grubhubs, has become so big, where people no longer go to restaurants but order food in, that they're looking at building restaurants in New York that will only have on demand. They won't have any seating areas. You can't walk in there. It's purely a kitchen set up for on-demand business. So he is now giving us unbelievable advice and help and research they've done for our Nathan's hot dog on-demand business. It's like beyond valuable. You literally can't pay for it, because we're getting years and years of research by one of the biggest food and beverage companies for free.
Wow.
And there are tons of stories like this. It's quite amazing. I would say of our 500 investors, there's probably 30 or so that are really pretty big time guys that are doing this purely for fun, just like I do with a lot of companies, and then try to get more involved. But this one guy who where they run PF Chang's and stuff, the help he's giving us, it's invaluable. It would take us 4 or 5 years to work all that out ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. And did he just approach you guys through one of the updates that you posted, or how did you pick him out of the bunch?
No, he invested in Surf Dog and then emailed me and just said, hey, by the way, if you ever need help, I don't know what you're looking at, but he goes, I know where you are situated. I know the area. I know everything. And you guys should focus really, really strongly on the on-demand and delivery business with your Nathan's hot dogs. It's the absolute perfect food, when you have, whether it's the 4th of July or whether you have game day, you have 10 different sport teams in LA where people sit at home, with their friends watching the games. And you should really focus on delivering, Nathan's to those homes. And I just that deal we got from that guy, which all came through Wefunder, is worth way more than any commissions and fees or anything we've ever paid Wefunder. I keep on saying that to you guys. You're way too inexpensive.
Yeah, this is a great advertisement for Wefunder, Klaus. Yeah. We appreciate it.
No, what about the other side? Is there any kind of handful of investors that's been really difficult to deal with, or what does that look like?
No, I don't. We've had absolutely no one that has been difficult or first of all, if anyone would be difficult, we would just send them their money back. But we've had absolutely nothing, which is amazing because, we've had, 700 or so investors now through Wefunder, but we've had absolutely no issues at all. The only issues we would have is that, tiny investors, you might have, like an old lady who's put in $100 and she's bored and she constantly emails you every day with questions. So that would be the only problem that it does take some time to communicate with all these people. But if you look at Wefunder's pricing structure, and I've done this for like 20 years, and we've formed 10 companies. We've got 2 on the NASDAQ, and the cost of funds doing it through Wefunder is pretty much the same as doing it through equity investments like we've done in the past. But you suddenly have hundreds and hundreds of investors, of which just by chance, a few of them are going to be people that are really super helpful in what you're doing. So I love it. Absolutely love it.
Love it. So, you've touched on some of this already in the answers that you've shared, but if there's someone listening who's about to launch or currently running an equity crowdfunding campaign on Wefunder or another platform, what would be your best advice for them in executing a successful campaign?
So there's a few things. I would, you saw what we did in Ben & Jerry's. We had a minimum of investment of $100, and we upped that, I think, to $500 in Surf Dog. And the reason for that is on a $100 investment, just the communications and the quarterly, dividend checks, etc. It just becomes cost prohibitive for me at least to give those guys what they deserve. I.e., if someone invests $1,000, it's easy to communicate with them and answer emails and everything. If someone invests $100 and wants to have a personal update every month from you, it's very time consuming. So I personally would stick to, a minimum of $500 investment instead of $100, especially if you really plan to treat those guys great and update them and et cetera, et cetera. That's just my personal deal. I think it's really great to offer fantastic perks. So, because a lot of companies, I'm sure, have to fail. If you look at, small startups in America, it's not every company is going to be a success. So if you are able to offer your investors a perk that is pretty much, kind of equal to their investment dollars so that they can't lose, I think that's fantastic. So, because we're in the art business, we have it's really lucky for us. We can offer fantastic art perks. So we can say to someone, hey, if you invest $1,000 in our company, you can go on our other company's art website and pick $1,000 worth of art. And that way you have a, 100% in-kind return on day one. That way, if God forbid, we're not as bright and smart as we think, and it's not going to work out, you're not going to lose your money. So I think offering phenomenal perks is super important, and you need to think about the perks. So for example, at Ben & Jerry's, it's not a good perk to give someone $500 worth of free ice cream because 95% of your investors don't live close enough where they can come and get free ice cream. And I've seen crowdfunding campaigns where someone is opening a restaurant, in the Midwest, and he goes, for every $200 you put in, you get $200 worth of free food vouchers. So that limits your investor base to people that, live within 5 miles of your restaurant. Mm-hmm. So I think to try to come up with some really great perks, I think that really, really helps.
Yeah, for sure. What advice, I'm just really fascinated by your family of entrepreneurs and your history with all of the companies that you've started. Do you have any general advice for entrepreneurs who are just starting out? Make sure you're always overfunded. I think that, the one thing that I've learned, and I'm still learning, is that everything I do takes longer and takes more money. So, we don't give up. So we will stay with the project until it works, even if it takes all our own money and if we don't, see any return ourselves, which, some people don't do. But
everything takes longer. Like we had issues at Ben & Jerry's where suddenly the Coastal Commission is so busy that they can't approve your outdoor sign for 3 months. So suddenly you can't open because of all the budget cuts. The local authorities are understaffed, and we are paying $17,000 a month's rent, and we can't open for 3 months because we can't get signage approved because there is no staff. So suddenly you've lost $60,000 plus all the income you would have had by having the store open. So there's just so much stuff that can happen that is completely out of your control that, you know, now we always try to raise maybe 25% more funds than we think we will need just in case something goes wrong, or, you know, or have that money personally available, because Ben and Jerry, we really thought nothing could go wrong. And then exactly what happened is that there was huge budget cuts in all the local authorities here, and the staffing wasn't there. The staffing wasn't there to check your plans. The staffing wasn't there to come out and you know, and it was an absolute nightmare. So I think we ended up probably having our opening delayed by 5 months for no other reason that no one could come and sign off on signage and plans and stuff. And that cost us $100,000 in rent plus cost plus loss of income during those months. So I think, you know, get overfunded, absolutely get overfunded. Don't do anything where you think you need $500,000 and raise $500,000, you know, and at the same time, you know, really, really, really treat your people super, super fair. You know, you treat your investors like gold. It's so often, I've seen this in crowdfunding campaigns where I've invested, where, you know, while they're trying to get investment dollars, they're talking to you every single day. And then as soon as it's fully funded, you never hear from them again. And, you know, that's just, in my opinion, super, super not cool, but it's also super short-sighted, because the chances that you might do a second round, or that you might want to open a second store, or you need more money. And there's nothing better than going to your initial investor base if you treated them right.
Yeah, and I think that's a great note to end on. So yeah, if you need to be overfunded and the bank says no, then maybe on Wefunder the people can say yes. Klaus, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom. We wanted to have you on first, as like I said earlier, you're maybe above all, along with, you know, Legion M or Chattanooga, you know, a founder that really shines as one that's done an unbelievable job of really leveraging this asset that you've built, which is, you know, 600 or 700 investors in the Ben & Jerry's and now Surf Dog. And you've done a phenomenal job of updating them, which is really kind of in line with the vision that we have for Wefunder as a platform to help entrepreneurs not just raise capital, but also build up a community of fans and champions. So really, really great talking with you today. Thanks so much for your time. And
I really appreciate it. I thank you for giving us this opportunity. It's been a phenomenal ride, and one that will continue with you for many years to come. And, you know, all I can say is, if you ever have someone who is interested and who wants to, you know, talk to me privately, I'm more than happy. Give them my email and phone number. I'm more than happy to talk to them, because what you've created here is fantastic. It's amazing for founders, and it's a real great fun platform for investors, and I absolutely love it.
Adventure Capital is brought to you by your fundraising team here at Wefunder, which consists of Johnny Price, Katie Powers, and myself, Oliver Foyahan. We'll be sharing the adventures of one of our Wefunder founders every other week. If you have any comments, ideas, suggestions, or would just like to find out more about Wefunder or Klaus, don't hesitate to contact us at hello@wefunder.com. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.